you've got the list you've got. So try and find new ways, actually structurally, to mitigate sides just opening you up, which they haven't been able to address for 18 months.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Eddie and Jimmy, and thanks to our great friends at Fiji Airways, Jimmy. Have I told you about this?
You've started to touch on it.
All right, and Hyundai, our great sponsors here on Eddie and Jimmy. First of all, Fiji Airways. Now, Paul Scurra's an old friend of ours. He was on the board of the Gold Coast Suns, used to run Virgin, worked at Qantas for years. He's taken over as CEO. And we're just talking about this before the war in Iran broke out. And he was saying, this is the new hack. Straight out of Melbourne, out of Sydney, out of Brisbane, into Nandi, have a short break there, into America, Vancouver, LA, San Francisco, and Dallas. So my eyes lit up, of course, because I'm spending a bit of time in America these days, business-wise, and my son Joe playing over there. So Dallas has become a real hub for us. And then I thought, geez, and now the best layover you can ever have would be in Fiji for a few days, wouldn't it? Especially on the way back. So that's the go.
So we might have to have a gather round in Fiji, won't we?
We'll
gather around the pool bar somewhere.
There may well be the opportunity for a bit of a footy classified stroke Eddie and Jimmy in Fiji at some stage.
Not against this at all.
Yeah, well, the other thing that we want to tell people is that if you were planning to go to Europe, it's going to be, a bit touchy for a while. So maybe if you want to just make it a little bit of a closer to home holiday, Fiji's the place to go. So that's the thing there. And Hyundai, of course, have got so many electronic vehicles these days and run economically. They are the perfect sponsor to have as we speak. So there you go, mate. Let's get stuck into the action. There's a bit to get through, and I want to get a little bit down our show into the tactics that I'm reading at AFL House over the last week of bringing out news.
Okay.
I don't think it's not a bad thing. I think it's a good thing.
Like a savvy strategy.
It's a savvy strategy, but we need to go through a few things.
Okay.
I thought the timing, for example, of the new drug rules was interesting.
We're talking about the top drawer as being utilised very well.
Yeah, I just think we need to have a good look at it, okay? Anyway, let's get into it. Can I ask you, Jimmy, first of all, welcome to the show, buddy. Melbourne, what a win it was yesterday. But before we get to the celebration of Melbourne, for the last 2 weeks, they've been as bad as Carlton, except in the first half.
Yeah, look, Melbourne, they're going to play with some energy and excitement, and Stephen King is trying to deliver on his promises. He wanted to open up Melbourne. He wanted them to play a bit more on instinct and creativity. Now, that does expose you to get scored against, and you can have fluctuations within games. But even down to the fact that, there's been a big push to get crowd numbers, big push to get some energy back into Melbourne. Even the way they did their commercial, their ad that we spoke about where they got some Melbourne famous faces, and they hung a little bit of shit on themselves, which was great. It was fun. And then we saw yesterday, let's just wear some casual clothes. So there's actually a willingness to be different, willing to embrace a more youthful Melbourne, because normally Melbourne in the last 5 to 6 years, it's been a bit
last 150 years, mate.
Well, I'm just going the last 5.
Yeah, okay.
It's been successful for them. Let's not completely ignore the past. It's been
but
successful.
The cheese plate and the trout and the...
And their footy's been a bit stodgy.
Yeah.
Well, let's be honest, but they won a premiership off the back of that. But people forget when they won a premiership, they kicked 20 goals in the second half as well. So Melbourne, the good thing for Stephen King is when you're a new coach, I mean this very tongue-in-cheek, you're a cult leader. Because you're telling everybody in front of you, even the board, the executive, down to the boot starter, as they say, this is the way to play football to take you to the promised lands of premiership. And you have to have unbelievable faith.
It is the cult of coaching. No
Correct. So what you need as a coach, especially early in your coaching tenure, is a win like this. Probably not this dramatic, but where, hey, just keep sticking at it. Because all you're doing is like the Balinese watch salesman where you're going, trust me, I'll send you the warranty in the mail. You got to say, trust me. And when you're down by that amount of points, you say, no, just stick at it and good things will come. And then when it happens, you can see the players going, hey, this guy knows what he's talking about.
The most recent example of that is probably Craig McRae Collingwood.
Yes.
With those big Collingwood comebacks. You are never done. In fact, you got to three-quarter time going, beauty, we're behind, we'll win.
Yeah.
And they were great on the weekend. Max Gawn, I mean, it's pretty handy when you're a former ruckman who's become a coach to look at a captain. There haven't been a lot of ruckman captains in recent years, But Max Gawn was just unbelievable on the weekend, wasn't he?
He was huge. And look, he's still got a lot of the ball, 23 touches, but sometimes we overrate hit-outs, but not yesterday. No. Like he had 55 and it was completely changing the game. You look at the second half, his ability to go, well, it's better than the possession most of the time because it actually got them moving really quickly. He's going, right, I'm going to put it out over there, and then the next one is going to be over there. And it just completely opened up Carlton and the old wounds as well for Carlton.
And talk about, an old dog with new tricks. He's adapted quickly to the new rules. He's positioned himself. I thought he's marking a couple of times he got across in in those pivotal moments and just took a big pack mark.
Especially
sensational.
That one really late when they were coming out of their back 50. That's what you all hope from your ruckman. You know, when you're used to the local footy club and you get around, come on, big fella.
They just stand up.
They just starts with you, get down the line. That was a classic, a big fella game.
Yeah, it was. Carlton. All right, now. You've seen all the photos going around about Good Friday, have you?
No.
Oh. Let me just roll back a bit. Remember 2 weeks ago I said there was some drama at Carlton?
You did.
Remember how, in fact, the story was broken by Xander originally, and I had the same mail coming through. Now, I did get a number of Carlton senior people call me to tell me everything I said was right, but it was wrong. Okay?
How does that work?
Everything I said was factually correct, but I had the wrong take.
Would you like to straighten that take up?
No, I'm just saying, okay, well, we'll just keep watching. Interesting again, the memes going out and, certain, 3-time premiership captain now coaching a Carlton team, Fossey, maybe being hoisted up in a parody of what happens on Good Friday if they get done by North Melbourne.
I have seen this one, actually.
You have seen that one? Yeah.
Yep.
It's sacrilegious and being good Catholic. You're a good Catholic boy as well?
No.
No? Oh, well,
I went to a Catholic school.
Oh, well, there you go. You qualify.
Yeah. I was one of the non-believers allowed in.
So, well, we'll let you in. You get in on a guest pass.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Church of England's close?
Hey?
Church of England, is that close?
No, it depends. Depends over the time. They've been traditional rivals at times.
Yeah, they have been traditional rivals.
But we'll let you in, okay? But, so clearly Essendon North Melbourne last week was a watershed moment and North fixed them up. Carlton is a different proposition because they're a better team by a long way than Essendon. But, I mean, that's why Tristan Sherry, if I was Clarko, you'd have a blood nose every day this week, every time I saw him, I reckon. Give him a backhander on the way through.
He's so important to them.
And he's going to be out, we'll get to him in due course, but he's out for 2 or 3.
At least.
At least.
Yep.
They're the things that just kill you at the inopportune time. So if Pitnet gets up and starts hitting it to Cripps out of the centre, you'd be nice and filthy. But let's go back to Carlton, though.
But that's not their issue. And we're going back to Carlton. Cripps winning clearances is not their issue. He had 7 or 8 to half time. Their issue is the fact he only had a couple after half time, and that's not on Cripps. You've got the list you've got, so try and find new ways actually structurally to mitigate sides just opening you up, which they haven't been able to address for 18 months.
So they're getting knocked off left, right and centre. Have you seen the stat? Let me find it.
Yeah, it's nearly a 24-goal difference.
Yeah.
It's 11 goals in the second half compared to about 24 goals.
Yeah, it is.
35 goals, sorry.
Yeah.
11 to 35 goals, about a 24-goal difference.
Yeah. So what happens?
So I'm going to go through this on Footy Classified tonight. I'm actually, putting the nice pants and shoes on because I'm going to stand in front of the plasma. And
yep, good boy.
What I do, and look, I know people close to Carlton will go, well, we watch more of it, but this is just someone who's not, nose deep in it all the time. It's just a person a little bit removed, and what I'd potentially do as Carlton is structurally, because you are what you are this year. You can't change your list. You got it.
No. And quite often in football clubs, they're trying to do something and you come in with a helicopter view and you actually see what's happening.
Well, it's too late now to completely overhaul what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because we're into the year and you've got the players you've got. So what I do personally is how do we frank our strengths? And now it mightn't be sexy and everyone's trying to play metres gained, handball, and we're seeing this ballistic style, but you're not built that way.
No.
Not this year. And you'll move that way and you can start adding players in. So you're going to have to win ugly. And by winning ugly, you're going to bring the half forwards up
So they're a contested play team, aren't they?
Excellent contested, because that's what they do well in the first half. This is what builds the leads. They've got to take the air out of the game, the tempo out of the game. Hawthorn try and put tempo on the game. Brisbane control the tempo because they're that experienced. They can go up and down. Another good side. Freo's much better now that they're playing with a bit more speed. So there's some of the good sides. You're not there. We get that. But they've got to go the other way. So what do you do really well? We win contests and we're a clearance side. So what you need to do is, this is part of the Bomber Thompson template of football. He was one of the first to coin A1, D1, A2, D2, and there's A3 and D3. And what that means is anything with a 1 on it, call it, it's this area here. It's you and me. It's the initial contest. It's the coal face or whatever. Yep. You're a metre, 2 metres from the ball. The D1 and D2 is first receiver and closing out. That's where it's getting hurt because sides are going, well, you're going to go in there if we can get you in close and we get you on the outside. So what we've got to do is actually have more of these contests. So half forwards coming up, wings coming up. Oops, I did this last week when I was getting all animated, hitting the mic. Backs have now got to actually start following the forwards in. So if you go back to when Melbourne got on a real big roll, and we're just talking about Max, he hits it like that. The first person to actually get that ball was Latrell Pickett as a high half forward. And this is what hurts them because the backs keep dropping off, which then is Wiedering and Lewis Young. And so then they just make their way through and find it anyway. You need to turn this, you're either winning it or a good loss is the quick kick up the tree because that then leads to more contests. Yeah. I know I'm just really skimming over and I can go down into all the...
So tell me what happens in the second half. Do they just run out of...
So they're still...
Are they playing such a hard contested game in the first half that they get cooked and then the outside runners from the opposition teams get...
Yeah, the opposition starts to open the game up,
yep,
especially from stoppage and clearance because they know Carlton can't transition well. As good as their inside players are, they don't. So you just want to get the game open and really big. But Carlton are very good at in here. And they've got to make as much of the game as in here.
So let's get a little bit specific on it.
So just...
Go on.
While everyone's trying to kick 100 points, Carlton are not going to win games by trying to kick 110 versus 100. They've got to, build their lead and probably try and win games.
So that was my point.
80 to 70.
We scored tempo football.
Correct.
Now we've got 6-6-6, but that's only for the bounce. You can still get players behind the ball if you need to, or around the contest is what you're saying. So when you are 41-1, it's obviously, or at halftime, it's too early to put the brakes on, so you've got to keep playing. But when you are 20 odd points up early in the last quarter, you can control the game. You've got to take time off the clock. That's the first thing you've got to do. Kill the clock, keep possession, don't give up possession, and certainly if you do, make sure that they're kicking to a pack and putting them under pressure. Where did that fall apart?
Well, because Melbourne started to open the game up, and it opened up the game from clearance and stoppage, and then Melbourne actually started to take a bit more dare. So if you go back and have a look at Melbourne and then you listen to Stephen King, it was skill fundamentals that hurt them more than anything else in the first half. Like they were running over balls, they were missing handballs. It was all the stuff where a coach goes, well, fellas, I can't do that for you. They started to tidy up their ball work, and then that led to exposing. But the other thing which it won't help Michael Voss, is you either then at the start of the year go, look, we're going to just take some losses and go back and play a more open and expansive game. But what they're doing is they're still playing the same way as they did last year.
I'm going to jump around a little bit here. So then I look at the new drug rules that came out.
All right, let's talk about this.
So the drug rules come out, and the only hard and fast penalty in there is if the club president tells the coach or the anonymity of the player is breached, where there's a $275,000 fine.
It's a lot of money.
That's a big fine. That gets my attention. And you know why you do that? Because it means to all the people who have the privilege of position to find out that we mean business, don't muck around, okay? At the same time, in the same rule, we don't say that to the players for taking drugs.
No.
We have no punitive model compared to, the NFL in America. I'm all for helping people. I'm not a drug crusader or anything else. What I'm a crusader about is I'm seeing people's lives being ruined, clubs having their opportunities destroyed, the connection to organised crime. I've not seen anybody do well out of out of any of this over the years. What we're also going to see that people fail to draw the distinction is if you take mind-altering drugs, it doesn't help if you get a concussion down the track. And now we're seeing Zurich pull out of concussion compensation. We're having a class action where the figures are somewhere up around, somebody said the other day, $1 billion. Well, that kills the competition. Game over, okay, on this sort of thing. Now, do you reckon at some stage Zurich or the AFL aren't going to go back and say, hey, listen, I know you've got concussion, but you also had more strikes than the CFMEU. Okay?
Oh, well, of course
These things are all connected.
Yeah, they're good. They're going to challenge it.
But my point is, why do we always...
So what's your solution out of this, Ed? So like...
Well, I think the way they've moved on the drug rules are a positive step. Okay, but again, to me, it is a decision made by committee, and it doesn't go hard enough. There needs to be more responsibility on the players to control their own lives.
So I'll be the devil's advocate because I've heard the interviews.
Yeah.
I'll give you the lines that'll come back.
Yep. Okay.
It's a health and care model, and the experts say.
Yeah. Okay. I say this. Okay.
But you know, as soon as someone says the experts say, that closes the argument.
Okay. Well, it's the same thing as, it's a health and safety aspect.
Which was the previous model
for not putting away violent criminals because you're looking after them and all that sort of thing. I'm a bleeding heart. Okay. So you ask me how many times you give people a chance, as many as it takes. Okay. I love the players, the clubs, anyone who works at a football club, always love the players. You do anything you can for them. That's why you're involved. Right? But I've got to a position now where I've seen all that and it doesn't work. Okay. And we're heading down into very, very, very deep holes of people. Right. So to your point, I like the...
Oh, no, that wasn't my point. That was just a...
No, I'm just saying. But
the answers that...
No, I know what you're saying. So thank you for asking the question.
Yeah.
My answer is, yes, I believe in a health and safety point of view, but you have to have equally a deterrent situation as well. Okay? It's not compulsory to take drugs. So if you take them, you run the risk of being exposed.
This might seem...
Because it's a professional game. I mean, this cock and bull stories they put out about, the coaches aren't going to know. The coaches know.
Well, I'll show you.
How does the coach, the person who you have, whose job is to have the strategy of every team in the AFL and have everything under control and know every waking moment and breathing moment of his own players and what they're thinking and what they're not thinking and what's motivating them and what's doing this and doing that. And he goes, oh, what happened to Bluey this week? He's not available. Oh, okay. I wonder what's wrong. Is his mum and dad okay? Yeah, they're okay. His dog? Yeah, they're okay. Everything else okay? Right, okay. Oh, I wonder what that could be.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. Match committee.
How stupid is that?
The name goes up on the board, and the footy manager has to go over and go, oh, just take that one off and just.
But this is the nonsense. We're still trying to live in some made-up world where everybody is all nice and happy-go-lucky, and it's gone past that. The players. I always said this: you've got to be careful what you ask for because sometimes you get it. And if they want to be super professional, get paid as professionals, then you have to have super professional behaviours that go with it.
Can I raise something with you?
Taking illicit drugs and putting yourself on the chopping block to be either suspended. It's performance enhancing as well. The other side to it, of course, is the nefarious activities that come with taking drugs. Then you're in trouble.
Can I ask?
You must step up to it.
Because nothing is beyond the realms, as we know, with this world. We are going through class actions for concussion. Could you see potentially one day the AFL having a class action regarding the drug policy?
Totally. I keep saying this. There's an old saying about if the DJ... but I've got to calm down a bit. I'll get into far.
No, because if you knowing...
No, because what I'm saying is...
positive and you're allowing them to
Let
play.
me go through them. I did this 2 years ago with you on Footy Classified, round one. The drug situation is going to come at 1,000 miles an hour. When somebody one day says, right, you actually knew I had a drug problem and you just wanted to make sure that it looked like there was no drugs in your sport and you allowed me to play. And they'll say, oh, yeah, but we tried to look after you. Yeah, but you knew. You didn't stop me. You didn't pull me up. I was able to keep going. Okay? That's coming just as the concussion. Now, there's absolute legitimate claims for concussion. But there are other players who we know who took more drugs, were in more fights Monday to Friday than ever on a weekend, who didn't rehab properly, didn't do all those sorts of things. There's mitigating circumstances. That's why I like a no-fault compensation situation that looks after the players who put their body and their head on the line and for their families going forward. Now that we're going into big-time compensation, though, that's a different thing altogether because that's going to take a whole lot of money out of the pot. Now, others can argue. I'm not going to argue one way or the other. I think there is a really elegant way to get to, and I know Peter Gordon, working for the AFL, had put together something that he showed me 2 years ago that seemed to make perfect sense. Now we've got all this litigation, so that's going to come up, and the drugs is and it's all going to be connected. I mean, already you're seeing AMP handed off to Zurich, and now Zurich is saying,
don't want it.
Barley, we're out. Okay, so that's going to be there. So we'll have to get back to what they do in every contact sport basically in the world. We have to sign up so we know the risks, right? And it also means that if you get hit and the doctor comes out, you get off the ground or the umpire stops the game. We'll get to that point in a moment. It stops the game. And then you go home and you sit in a darkened room. You don't go to a nightclub and you don't snort coke during the week and you don't do all these other things. And so in the college football, I think I've mentioned this before, my son has to sign that contract. It also says that you must report if your teammate, if you think he got a hit or whether he's a bit out of it or whatever the case may be. And they have a whole list of things that once you have been put onto the concussion watch list that you must adhere to. Full stop.
Yep.
No, my girlfriend, it was her 21st and I thought I should turn up. No, you don't go. That's the job.
Yep.
Anyway, that's where it's at the moment.
So further that, Ed,
Yeah.
Let's keep that discussion going.
Yep.
You tease it off the top. The strategy behind releasing that.
Yeah.
And can I just throw in a couple others in the mix with it?
Yeah.
Daytime grand final.
Yeah.
Kylie Minogue.
Yep.
Am I missing some other? Gather round.
It's all connected.
It's all connected.
It's all connected. And I think the AFL have at least got a strategy at the moment rather than, as I described it the other week, seeing a mincer and rushing headlong to stick their head in it at the moment. So this is my reading of it from outside. The AFL have just absolutely been kicked to death over this stupid fixture this year, which continues to disappoint. We're not through it yet.
Nope.
Okay? And not by a long way. And if you reckon I've been banging on about the drugs, how long have I been going on about the fixture?
Put the fix in the fixture was one of the first words you said.
That's what I said, and I said it a long time back, okay? Because when I became president of Collingwood, I worked out the only way that I could pull us out from being bankrupt was to maximise crowds and television. And guess what else I do for a living?
You work in television.
You know what I do every day of my working life? I speak to the main people in Australian TV and overseas. I spoke last week, had 3 days with and interviewed in front of all the fund managers a guy called Jerry Cardinal. Okay, he just did the deal with the Ellisons to buy Warner Brothers. He knows a bit about sports and entertainment. He owns AC Milan. He part owns Liverpool and Fenway Sports. He now owns CNN, HBO, Paramount, Channel 10 if you want to throw them in as well, and Warner Brothers.
He's going well.
So I don't make these things up. Okay, I'd just like to say that this is not just me, carrying on because I've got gout or something. This, I think through these things and strategise. Okay, so the AFL have had, quite rightly, the belting that they deserve because, as we say in football, don't get beaten by what you know. Okay, what we also know is that the Murdochs no longer own Foxtel. That's DAZN, which is funded by the Saudis and run by a German guy, I think German, and that now every media executive and headquarters is domiciled in Sydney. Okay, and Kerry Stokes is no longer the chair of Seven. Okay, so people got to work out what that means.
Yep.
Right, these people live and talk to Peter V'landys all day, every day. Okay, so we need to make sure that we get things right. So my point is this: I look at it and I go, the drug code was released on a Thursday, the only day of the week where there's no footy classified or agenda setters or anything else. It was released at a time where that night you've also got Thursday night football, and the AFL would have known that they were also going to drop a couple of big bombs like the time of the grand final. Okay. Now, if I was the chairman of the AFL, I'd have a major focus in trying to make as much money for Channel 7 and Foxtel as possible at the moment, because at the end of it, you get a slice of that. The AFL, going back to that deal that they did, decided that Saturday afternoon was a complete wasteland, so therefore we won't even put it on free-to-air. Right? 3 weeks ago, the AFL didn't want to put the VFL on Saturday afternoon. They wanted to put it onto an app with one camera coverage. Okay? Yet, we come out and announce a 2:30 start to the grand final, which is totally counterintuitive to everything that the AFL Commission stands for as far as making independent assessments and decisions based on the long-term good of the game. So, back when we played the first Friday night game, North Melbourne and Collingwood, people screamed, oh, you won't be able to catch the ball. It's going to affect even as they said, it'll affect the percentages. It'll affect people winning the goal kicking. It'll affect the Brownlow medal, all this complete nonsense. I sat in President's meeting in 2000 where the Essendon President, Graham McMahon, and Ron Casey, of all people, said, we don't want to be on Friday nights anymore because it was a delayed coverage and it started late and they weren't getting the crowds and et cetera, et cetera. Then it took off. It took off Friday night on footy on 9, took off and away it went. So I don't understand.
Is it the?
I don't mind.
Is it a popular? They're looking for the popular vote.
Totally.
Yeah.
So my point is, I don't care. If they played at 4 a.m, I'd be there. Okay. So I'm not done on it. Except I heard Dills yesterday say two things that bemused me. One is in its beautiful conditions. Okay. Well, it's a bit different because the sun's in a different part of the sky in September. But not only that, the shading on a bright sunny blue day is actually the worst conditions you can have to broadcast the game as it goes in and out. What's it like when you're staring into the sun?
It's hard to see the footy.
Hard to see the footy. So they keep telling me it's the best conditions to play. It's not. And it's not for half the Shane Warne stand who are doing this one, trying to watch the game. Okay? It's not. So that doesn't stand up. So to me, it was straight up, as if you're running a political party, this is the way you do it.
Yeah.
The second part was, when did they make the announcement?
So over the Sunday
afternoon.
Yeah.
The political time slot of dropping stories for the Sunday night news, the most watched news service. Generally, the news services have got general reporters running around because all the sports people and the senior reporters work Monday to Friday, or they're at the football themselves covering the game. So you usually get a pretty light go, and then you get the next day you get all the radios and the nice photo that's set up, and then for good measure they let go Kylie Minogue. Now normally that's not announced for another 3 months or so, and they came out and said 2 years to get it off the place. So that was placating, making tough decisions in my book. They can argue, that's fine. That's only my opinion, but I always look to see why these things are done, and I think that was
stage managed. Beautiful.
Well, I think they needed to because they were getting killed.
Yeah.
So they needed to, but I think they made the wrong decisions in doing so. I think they needed to make the right decision, but the right decision that would have led to the right decision on the grand final was to listen to everybody last year when we said opening round doesn't work. Don't put it on in cyclone season. Don't have buys in round 2. Don't be wedded to this idea just because gather round works to placate the northern teams. Read the play. Your bottom 3 teams at the moment are Richmond, Carlton and Essendon. So you must play those games early on. Carlton, Essendon, Richmond, Collingwood, Hawthorn, Melbourne all have to play at the MCG in the opening weeks, particularly if you know they're not going to be much good, because you get them early on and then in the back half of the year they'll play against each other and it becomes a traditional rival game. But you get down the track when these teams are getting killed, and it's going to be friends and family.
So,
I just think they.
Can I just quickly, the obvious follow-up.
Does that make sense what I'm saying?
It makes a lot of sense, which then leads to my question. If it makes a lot of sense and you see that and the average footy punter sees that, why aren't we doing it? Like, there's got to be,
No, I think.
maybe I'm giving too much credit, but there's got to be reasons why they're not doing that.
Well, I think. Well, I heard Dills. I mean, he said another thing. He said that we're going to, reconsider what we do with the grand final when Tasmania comes in. What's that got to do with the price of fish? Seriously, what's that got to do with anything? It's either 230 and that's what we're going to do, or
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm not sure why Tassie. It's great that you're in, but I'm not sure why that actually impacts the grand final.
yeah, well, I don't know. But this is what happens.
Spirit of
A red
Tassie
herring,
gets into the
a red herring goes here, or red herring goes there, and a lot of people just nod their head. And so the thing is, we have a lot of people in the media these days. I used to, conflict of interest. No, it wasn't. I declared all my interests. Pretty easy to see, and I front it up every day to answer them. But I hear people just saying things that are just completely conflicted and based on, what they like, or based on, I can do a sporty that morning, or I like to knock off at 6 o'clock because I have a tradition of having dinner with my mates or something. What the hell's that? So I come back to it. I think the upside of what I saw this week was finally there's been some planning and some sophistication around the messaging.
Yep.
Okay, that's the tick. The second part is I wasn't wrapped with either of the messages, and I think that's if that's Craig Drummond's first two decisions, then he's got my attention and not in a positive way. Okay. I think they should have gone harder on the drugs, much harder, and I think they should have moved the grand final to a twilight for all the reasons down the track that they're going to face.
Yep.
Okay. 2:30. Okay, I'm right. I'm going to shut up about it. It's there for 2 years, but I want some names next to these decisions now. Okay. I want to be able to say in 2 years' time, if we get knocked off as we got knocked off by the NRL last year, we get knocked off this year and next year, then somebody has to stand by that decision. Not, we rang around and we all thought, yeah. I mean, Craig Drummond's answer was, yeah, it's been a bit of confusion. There's a bit of uncertainty in the world and all the rest of it at the moment. Yeah, we'll keep going at 2:30. Now, I would have liked to have seen maybe a PowerPoint saying, despite the ratings being off, despite that we have, because they said it's a tradition, right? Remembering that we just torched the tradition of starting the season in a proper way, right? And we did it for the northern states. Yet we come to the grand final. The biggest selling point for any kid is to watch the grand final. So we put it in the worst possible time slot for the northern states. The worst possible time slot to play any sport in Queensland and New South Wales at that time of the year is 2 o'clock or 2:30 on a Saturday afternoon. Discuss.
Oh, can't disagree with that.
Well, there's no disagreement.
No. Well,
the figures are there. Mate,
that's why they always prefer
mate,
12.
I work in TV. You know what we put on at 2:30 on a Saturday afternoon? Tarzan movies,
Not bad.
if you're lucky. Okay, but I tell you what the AFL have decided they're not going to put on 2:30 on a Saturday afternoon. Football. They decided that. They took it off free to wear. So where does that make any sense?
Well, one plus is they've taken this conversation off the table for the next 2 years because
Yeah.
I've heard you talk about this. Like fans are getting jack of the, like games that have been played of. Oh, we'll tease the grand final time. Oh, we'll tease the fixture. It just feels like they're now starting to move in direction. Here it is. That's what it is.
Yeah, I know. And you know what we do in our game because we're so loving and, forget about that. Yeah, we'll move on. I tell you what doesn't move on, mate. It doesn't move on at the corporate headquarters of DAZN in Europe. It doesn't move off the headquarters of the NRL and Peter Volandi's going, you beauty. They've done it again. I can't believe it. It doesn't when you sit down with Heath Mackay-Cruz, who's now the head of the Seven Network, and Austereo, that merger. Okay? It doesn't when you're every free-to-air TV and the pays who are going, we want to get State of Origin football, and now we want to get the grand final of the NRL because that's the number one show. Those discussions don't go anywhere, mate.
No. but it feels like they're trying to get out of the fans' way a little bit.
Yeah, no, what you're saying is 100% right. But what I'm saying is, yeah, that's all good on the the op-ed page or the letters page or the blogs or whatever you want to have these days, but where the money is.
All right. Can we pivot to a light one before we get back to a serious one? I want to do this one for you first. The banners. I'll read you.
I got swacked.
I'll read your GWS's first and then Tassie's. The GWS banner read, "Your emblem is a bird. Your coach is called Fly. When asked to travel, you have a big cry." Might have been a little bit of shot. We'll give you some there. But the Tassie Devils.
Hang on, just stick with that one. I liked a bit of banter.
That's good.
I mean, I used to write the Collingwood ones at times.
Have you got a best of?
Oh, I got one that they pulled down. The AFL wouldn't let them put it up.
Oh, well.
I got into the Brisbane Bears one time.
Was it you? Big picture of you on the banner giving someone the bird?
No, it was no. That happened to me. I'm always the victim in these things.
Oh,
Richard Collis, they make him a life ban.
Oh, a bit.
He should have got weeks for that.
We should get Richard Collis on here.
No, he's a good bloke, Dick. We speak quite often. We do.
Do you both just yell at each other down the phone?
Quite the opposite. We actually asked me to give the speech at his farewell.
That's nice of him.
No, we were great friends from his original job as being West Coast Eagles chair.
Yep.
And did a great job to get them going. Then he did a mighty job in Sydney.
Oh, he's been
But
very
look at
good.
this thing that I'm against the Northern States. I'm not. I'm against them actually making mistakes.
Were you against the most southern state? Because the Tassie Devils posted a fake banner the next day on Instagram that read, "Undefeated, we're off to a flyer. Please don't listen to Eddie McGuire."
It's great.
This is like a retort back to you. Of course, you think you
Again, but
it's off your footy classified comments, which you elaborate.
yeah. Well, again, I was at pains on Footy Classified, but that doesn't flow through to say I'm a huge supporter of Tasmania. Now, you know that I went down last year.
You did.
And gave a speech, and Brennan Gale was very thankful that I did so to get the politicians going. My biggest issue is this. I look at it from as if I was running the competition. The bottom three sides today are Essendon, Carlton, and Richmond. Now, Essendon are a park side at the moment. Okay. They're going to get, on their best day, they won't get first pick because that'll be the father-son that goes to Carlton, and Carlton are going to get stitched on that one. So even they're going to...
Well, there'll be an academy pick thrown in as well because Dougie Cochrane to Port Adelaide, so they're the best two off the table.
So they're two. So Essendon, and they're talking about then giving them one at the end. Cal Toomey broke exclusively on Footy Classified last week. So you get maybe one player off the back there. Now, I don't know about you, but two 18-year-olds coming into that Essendon side aren't going to do much for a while. And people don't understand the atomic bomb that is a team coming into the competition. Okay? So they're going to, don't forget the AFL, they muck around with these things every 5 minutes. I mean, there was an original way of doing this, and there's an uncompromised draft. It's the fastest and the fairest and the best way to do it. But we do want to throw in things like father-son. Maybe it's time for that to go. I don't know. But I don't want to get into that because that's another one that we have where everyone has a Father Christmas approach to life as opposed to we're running a serious competition. So I just look at it at the moment. I think the Bombers, I'll ask you, but I think the Bombers, if they go now with what they're going to do with Tasmania, they won't play for another 10 years in a final. Well, they will because we'll be down to a final 16 by then. Because, again, it's another kumbaya moment.
The McGuire system might come in.
Well, the McGuire system actually works to keep the competition going, but you end up at a final 8. We've actually got a final 10 that only really means that 6 teams can win it. Counterintuitive again.
Yeah.
It was good, again, really good announcement. Don't like the execution's not going to be that good.
Yeah, this is where season length is horrible for bottom 4 or 5 sides.
But, mate, we're at round 3.
Yeah, but I saw last night that it's difficult to see where Essendon's next win's going to come from off current form.
Yeah, well, generally you do. You get a win somewhere. I mean, history suggests I don't think anyone's gone through a season without a win. Have they? I can't remember off the top of my head, but not many. But for the Bombers, you're right. It's gruesome.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then they go into, and I think the Bombers are, if if they're going into this rebuild mode, they're about to hit an oncoming cement truck called Tasmania coming in the competition.
Yep.
So my point was, do we, as the AFL gazetted at the time, that the Tasmanian team would come into the competition 1 year before the first bounce at the new stadium, which now has been pushed back. So should you push it all back? Do you continue to have this wonderful VFL team and get everyone playing at both ends of the country as they're doing at the moment? That works a treat. Are we better as a competition to just hasten a little bit slower? And, of course, there's always the knock-on effect that this war is going to completely cook the economy and that building... They started with you were sitting next to me again when they announced the stadium would cost $750,000, and on that night I said there's no change out of $2 billion.
No,
it costs you $750 to put a roof on, right?
Yeah,
and it needs a roof.
And their first costings didn't have the big screen TV or any actually catering thing.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what will happen.
So it's already out to what
the first drill will hit a saber-toothed tiger.
Oh yeah,
It'll set it back. Like
I was talking to a couple of big-time Tasmanian people over the weekend, and they said that'll happen. And my worry is that once we get going, that we'll end up playing in Hobart and playing in Launceston in those grounds. And that might be what they always wanted all the way along, but it won't be what will be sustainable for a team in Tasmania. Again, the Kumbaya is going to get it. They're going to get us.
Yeah, the only issue you've got is if you keep delaying is the nature of list and recruiting and drafts is that you actually need things set in place for 3 to 4 years in advance. So if you actually keep shifting that timeline, so
I'm just as happy, by the way.
I'm just saying some of the mechanics behind it. Yeah. There's already list decisions, like even the list decisions that went on the last year's free agency and trade period was. Well, we can now trade 3 years into the future, and clubs were actually trading picks were in that Tassie draft. But if you keep moving it back, the people go, hang on, we made decisions off the back of we thought Tassie was in there.
Mate, I'm with you 100%.
So
okay. I agree.
Bang.
I agree with everything.
Get it done.
And I'm happy for Tassie to jump in and all that sort of it. But the question to me, the thesis that I was trying to elaborate on was Essendon, Carlton and Richmond. Right, so we're going to bring in a team that's going to.
Well, Richmond have already sort of bitten the bullet.
It's going to cost a lot of money. There's a lot of money going out of the AFL. Again, it comes back. All my predication on these things. You know that I love the traditions. That my heart is football. That I love this game more than anything. But I also know what it's like to be broke in life. Okay, it's not good. And I've seen the AFL be broke. I was there in those press conferences in the 80s. I was there when in 1987 they had to give the rights to the ABC because no one wanted it.
Yep.
Okay, and the game was cooked, and the stadiums were shot to pieces, and some geniuses at the AFL in their commission were great people like Graham Samuel and Peter Scanlon coming up with the deal with Broadcom that broke the keep off the grass agreements with the networks back in those days. These things come around and come around. Right, we've got the women's football, which is fantastic, but it's costing $1 million a week. Tasmania will cost. I'll go conservative and say cost the competition 30, okay, to help Tasmania get through.
That's pretty.
There's GWS is still costing that all day. And I don't have a problem. I voted for these things because that's what we are. We have to play. We have to get bigger and get better. But my worry is that that's all predicated off the back of the TV deal. And if we're going to put inferior product to air and have games that are no good to watch, and the standard's been shit house, let's be honest, the last, amongst a few of the teams. I won't go on about the ball, but the ball. So that's where we're at. So I'm glad that they made some hard and fast decisions. So, I'll give Craig Drummond a big tick, right? 2 years, thank you, get it off the table. You know why? Because we've got bigger fish to fry in football. And the Tasmanian situation, and it doesn't, forget that it's what's got to do with me. It's got more to do with what's happening in Iran than it does us sitting here talking about it.
Yep.
The world economy is going to hell in a handbasket.
Yep.
And, okay, if it ends up that we have a Tasmanian team and we play at a Hobart and Launceston, then so be it. But it won't be anything like the financing that has been done and sold to the clubs.
All right.
There it is.
Well, North Melbourne got me a Nick Larkey badge when I asked for it on this podcast. Tassie, I want some merch.
Yeah, it's good merch too. I like it.
And happy birthday at the Rumman. It was his birthday.
Was it?
He, she,
Yeah.
whatever Rumman is, but it was their birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Rumman. So Tassie, get me some merch, will you?
So can I just underline one last thing? I'm really on for Tassie, right? Big time. But I want it to be
Successful.
I want it to be successful. I want it to work. I want it to be big. I don't want to turn on Tassie and watch them getting flogged in crappy stadiums so that I go, look at Tasmania, isn't it? No good. I want to look at it and go, wow, that is sensational. That is the same as what the Green Bay Packers were able to do in a small community and everything that's great about it.
Yep. I've got a favourite player in Tassie's VFL team already.
Who?
Rory Wright. Watch him off the half-back line. He's good.
Fantastic. All right.
Hey, I want to start this one for you, Ed.
Yes.
You were, I'm going to estimate MCG, I'm going to call it conservatively, 160 metres away. You were on the far side, and if my memory serves me correct, there was a TV cameraman strike this day. But you could see clearly that the ball was out.
Harms was out.
Harms were out, but you could see it.
I was at the other end of the ground.
And we know you're a TV man.
Yes.
You know TV better than most. So the arc,
Yeah.
did Geelong cheat with the arc with Tom Atkins stooging one over the umpires? Can I just say my bit, because I know you'll come off the long run with this. Why can't they just call it a boundary throw-in? We're not sure. Let's call it a boundary throw-in, and that even actually gives time for the arc to. Well, hang on, we're setting them all up because the umpires look for the ruckman come running in like big galoots, and by the time they wave, a bit of space and things like that.
But mate,
Now the floor is yours.
You know that for a rush behind,
Yeah,
there is a rule, and then
there's sub rules,
4 sub rules.
which we found out, I reckon, 2 years ago.
For a rush behind.
There was a couple of sub.
If you're going to have last touch, why don't you just make it last touch? I don't care if you touch it over the line or it bounces off your nose or whatever.
No, but that wasn't the issue in this, because they actually thought that the Adelaide play was last touch, so they still would have made the same call.
Yeah, well, there is the arc.
Yeah, but they didn't give it time. So this is the thing. When you're confused, just call a boundary throw-in.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I thought you had a bit more than this.
Look, you know.
I thought I got you fired up enough.
Let me put this to you about the arc. Okay.
Here we go.
Collingwood GWS.
Yes.
Angwin
Yes.
and Crisp. Their heads hit.
Yep.
Crisp got it in the back of his head, which is the hard part of your head.
Yeah. Right on Angwin's
Angwin
ears.
got it right there in the soft part, right? The old,
And
just
if you
below
actually
the
look
temple.
how he fell back, you could see the. Ooh.
Yeah, he got the jolt.
Yeah.
And then he was getting up doing this one, which always suggests to me,
Perforated ear or
or jaw,
Yep.
crack of the jaw.
Yep.
You know that to knock somebody out, when you hit in boxing, you hit them there, and it's that.
hit the button.
But it's that
Yeah.
causes everything. And then there's an old one as well. If you're bleeding from the ear, it might be a head start to come off and have a spell.
Yeah,
Particularly when you're 40 points down. But even if it was scores are level in a grand final with 3 minutes to go, mate, if you're bleeding out of your ear, maybe come off.
That's a pretty good sign. I think that's fair.
So which part of the arc, which by the way, declare an interest.
That's right. You're Noah.
We put it in, right? But I don't have anything to do with it anymore. But you got doctors there, and I'm not. There's not having a go at the doctors. Not allowed to have a go there. They're sacrosanct, right? What was going on? I'm sitting there going, get the kid off,
You got to get that.
and
off.
probably Crisp should have come off as well because it was a head collision, just to be checked. Could have got him off, said, I'm right, back on.
Yep.
But isn't that what we're supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
In a week again where the major insurers pulled the pin and there's class actions everywhere.
Dude, this is what I don't understand, Ed. We've got umpires stopping games for someone with a sore shoulder, but we're not going to stop the game for a head clash or someone just to get off the field.
He's bleeding from the ear.
Yeah, but my point is, like, it drives me mad when we see players going down now and umpires stop the game. Well, you don't stop the game for someone with a sore shoulder, but like, why can't you get the arc, which is in your ear, going, Angwin and Crisp, head clash, Angwin needs to come off. If you're not going to go off with the doctor, ear off.
But look, I've been around covering sports since I was 13, right? So injuries are always the big story. You know straight away. I mean, I was a boxing writer. Barry Michaels, my great mate, the former world champion, who lost everything when he got a perforated eardrum against Rocky Lockridge, okay? Because his equilibrium went.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? So if you're sitting there and you go, he's got a perforated, forget the concussion bit. If he stayed out any longer, he was going to get a concussion because the whole idea of your balance and everything is affected by, and he's doing this one. He's walking around blowing his
He was trying
nose.
to pop his, he reset his ears.
Get the boy off. So there. Anyway, we've got the arc. We just don't use it.
I reckon we'll get to a
So
stage.
there's two key points where the arc is there, the technology is there, but no one moved quickly enough.
We raised this last year. I reckon we'll get to a stage where if the doctors are going out and they're checking head knocks and everyone's wired up, which is a great thing, just
Okay, but go back to your point. It's just as easy to check that. You know, if scores are level, it might be just worth going, let's just check. And to your point, if you can't tell whether it came off, don't have to have 10 minutes, throw it in.
Yep.
Yeah, we solved that one pretty quickly.
Yep. Should we do the Bartel Medal?
Yeah, I want to talk the game up. I love
the game.
I love the game. I don't
Do
want
you know what I love? All
I
right,
don't want to be the leader of the opposition, but at the same time,
I love West Coast.
oh,
Job Shanahan.
I love the team.
You can see Harley Reid's looking around. He goes,
Harley Reid.
there's Dersma, and there's Lindsay, there's Cooper Duff Tyler.
Yep.
The Reid, who's not my brother, but he's my brother because he plays for West Coast. He's going all right. Hamish Davis.
Yeah.
Even in the early rounds, Milan Murdoch. There's some energy and excitement about.
Tell you what also I liked. I liked Ken Hinkley's commentary.
Ken Hinkley's great.
He's sensational.
I spoke to him this morning.
Did you?
Known him since my days at my local football club. Had
Yeah.
a massive impact on me as a young man.
Yeah, I love that he's calling it without fear or favour. And he called that game as well. He said they've put the wall up too early, West Coast. Need to keep playing, and it nearly got them. But we'll have to talk about Port Adelaide another time. Let's get to the...
Collingwood were good. Sarong and Freo were business-like.
Yeah.
Lots of good footy.
Okay, let's go. Bartel Medal. He's given 3 to Caleb Sarong, 2 to Nick Dacos, 1 to Keziah Pickett.
Yeah, good votes, actually. You might be pretty on the money. 1 vote, Rochelle, Bailey Smith, Dempsey. Good game, that, actually. It was an old-fashioned game in a bit of the slop down there at Geelong. Job Shanahan, who I just mentioned. DeConing S, the Geelong variety, played a good game on Filthorpe. Membry, Butters, Josh Dacos, Jack Steele. That's been a smart pickup. You lose Oliver, you bring in Jack Steele.
Yeah, good rip.
Bailey Fritsch, lots of second-half goals. And Naz, he had a tag, fought through the tag. They dropped the tag, 29-2. He couldn't have done much more.
I've always liked Bailey Fritsch. He looked like he lost his way the last couple of years.
Got really high hair.
Yeah, but he's... You know what I like about him? He can kick.
He's a beautiful
He's a
kid.
beautiful kick.
Sean Manor, people still think he's just a VFL bloke coming in, but he's a gun at the high half forward role. Cal Wilkie is just playing brilliant football. Will Ashcroft. Josh Tracy, the big kahuna. He's playing like a big boy on the park. Caleb Sarong.
They look like a serious team at the moment, Fremantle.
I've got, we have to put in the way too early predictions.
Yeah.
I've got them finishing in the top 2.
Yeah,
Because remember, they got the additional home game,
yeah,
and then also you play your derby twice.
yeah. Well, they've got
So
that, yeah.
13 games over there, they should win them all.
Yeah, they play Collingwood Friday in Gather Round.
Yeah.
Be a big game, but they don't have to play Collingwood here.
No, and that's what I went through the
Win.
fixture. Research, just not another suburb of Melbourne. Ed.
Yeah, exactly.
Luke Parker was fantastic as the wise old head across the half-back line. Harley Reid and Willem Dersma, my apologies.
Yep.
They're going to be a nice 1-2 punch combo. 3 votes. Nick Dacos. The difference in that Giants-Collingwood game, because it was some horrible ball use and it was some atrocious football where it looked like you just went, ugh, this is gross. He just stood out head and shoulders above. Max Gawn. Finn O'Sullivan's game was fantastic. He took merit and then also went and won the footy.
Yep.
And Cozzy Pickett, my goodness.
It was just wonderful, wasn't
So
it?
our leaderboard
Go.
on 6 votes. Oh, it's Petrarca. Max Gawn, the Bont, Nick Dacos is in the lead on 8 votes. But who knows, because we've got 800,000 buys and it's never level.
Yep. All right. Well, we'll talk to you on Wednesday on Eddie and Jimmy at 9.com.au. Send through your questions to us. We'll go through them all. That's Wednesday and Thursday for our preview of the weekend's round of matches. Good on you, mate.
Thanks, Ed.
A bit in that, wasn't there?
Lots in that.
Yeah,
You might get a few more phone calls.
Oh, well, doesn't matter. They don't listen.
Well, no one rings me, which is great. And keep it
Okay.
that way.
Catch you on Wednesday.